Most of us aren't ungrateful. We're just moving too fast these days to notice. Hey, everybody, it's Megan Holly, and this is the Magic Made podcast. How are you? How is your heart? Sometimes I'll prompt you to take a big, deep breath, which please do that. But today, I also want you to shake something out. Wiggle your fingers, roll your shoulders, tap your toe, and kind of realize that you're in existence, that you are here on this planet, because we go on autopilot, we numb out, we're just doing the dang thing. Maybe you've been sitting at your desk for a long time, or, working on something and just kind of in the thick of it. And we don't notice how much we're not noticing. And today, the reason why I bring that to your attention is because A, we all need the reminder to just stop for a second and break up the pattern. But two, I feel so often that when we are just kind of moving through this fast-paced life that we all live, no matter what you're doing, there's some sort of fastness going on in your life. And we miss a lot. We miss so much in everyday just interactions. And so I wanted to talk about 5 weird things that I do. At least I kind of think they're kind of a little bit off the beaten path, or some may not be as much. You be the judge. You let me know. You let me know how you feel about them, or if maybe you do something similar. But 5 weird things that I do that help me kind of stay present in my everyday life, in kind of operating in the world. It helps me stay really clear. It makes me stay just focused on being in existence and acknowledging that I'm here and alive, and also kind of brings in other kind of experiences, if you will. And that'll make more sense as I go through. But this episode has kind of been in the back of my mind for a while, because I am about being as kind of present and clear in life as I possibly can, if that makes sense. And so I finally was like, it's going. We're getting this in an episode and we're running with it. And so if you are somebody that feels like maybe you're missing out, you get through days, weeks, months, and you look back and you're going, what did I even do? Where have I come from? Does it even matter? Does anything matter? I feel you. We're all there. You're not alone. We're all there at some point and sometime. But we don't want to be there as just kind of a overarching existence always. And so these are things that I do. We're going to kind of go through each one, and I'll kind of explain what I feel it does for me. And as silly as some of them may sound or feel, they really keep me connected, keep me grounded. My feet are on the ground, and I'm able to check in with my senses, if you will. I think the biggest and most important thing for me in this is that being present is a practice. It's not a personality trait. There's not one person that is more present than the next. I think that some people are more naturally maybe attuned to staying present. I think that some people's lifestyles or workloads or, boundaries can help or hinder presence, but we all have the ability to be as present as possible, more present than we maybe have been in the past. We all have that potential. And so if it doesn't come naturally to you, it's okay. Because the thing is, in this world that we live in, it's so fast paced, it's really hard to be as present as possible. Or for instance, for me, sometimes my anxiety takes me out of being in the present moment because I'm having an anxious moment. Maybe I'm having a panic attack. Maybe I'm hyper focusing on something. And so there's so many different things for each of us. So maybe identifying for yourself, what is it that kind of keeps you way too far into autopilot mode, too kind of distant, just going through the motions, all the things. What is it for you? Take an identity check right here. Check in with yourself and see what comes up initially. Like, ooh, yeah, I'm doing too much, or ooh, what is it? Where is it? Identify that first, because that's going to be important. Because when we want to be more present with our kids, with our clients, with our friends, our family, just in general, with ourselves, oh my gosh, let's not forget about just being more present with ourselves and identifying kind of our everyday life differently. It's important to take a moment, right? We need to be able to have found presence, and identify when we're not doing that. So take a moment and jot it down. take a snapshot in your brain, whatever it is for you, especially if this is really important for you. Maybe you're feeling really burnt out. Maybe you're feeling just like you've been on just driving 600 miles an hour. This is for you then. You really need to make sure that you're kind of taking a look at it. Because I know for myself, I have to do it regularly. If I don't do it regularly, I will look back and like there's a 5 months of my life where I'm like, whoa, what just happened? Happened for a few months last year for me because of just new things, new projects. And I allowed them to take over without finding my presence and my intentionality. So let's dive in, because I think we're going to unveil some different things through these. Okay, so the first one is going to sound silly. I think this may be the silliest one. But when I go to the gas station, y'all know that my favorite number is 3. Okay. Love the number 3. I intentionally take it upon myself to go to gas pump number 3. There's no superstition behind it. There's no like, if I don't go to that one, life's going to be awful. There's not. So don't think I'm like, I've lost my marbles. It's not that intense. But what it does for me is makes me present, because I have to, instead of just driving into the first thing that I see open. And if you're laughing right now, I promise you it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings, because it is silly. Okay. It is silly, but we need more whimsy in life. Okay. What it does is takes me off autopilot, because I'm looking for number 3, and depending on the gas station, maybe it's a new gas station. I don't know. I don't know what way the numbers work and all the things. So it makes me have to search. It makes me have to just literally be where I am at. Like there's no other way to say it. It's that simple. And sometimes, oh my gosh, number 3, there's somebody there. What am I going to do? I will go to another one. It's okay. But at least I got that moment of like, let me look for something that is identifiable and real in front of me. And I gave my brain a moment to be there. And it's such a beautiful thing, because so often we're not. You're probably thinking, oh yeah, you know what? I just literally just pull into a gas station, go to the first pump that I can see that's on the proper side for my gas tank, all the things. That's just natural to do. But this is one thing that I didn't really do with any sort of like, hey, I have to do this or else. It was just more of a thing that I started doing, and it made sense. And I felt it was just kind of a little something in everyday life on a mundane type of task that helps me be present. It snaps me out of the blur of a day. You're rushing around, and the worst times are the times when I'm rushing and it's like I'm just fitting in getting gas. Okay. Those are the worst days. I don't want to even like think about it, but I'm still looking for number 3, because guess what? The blur of the day needs a moment too. And so it's just this weird little, kind of tool in my belt, if you will, to keep me off of autopilot. So what is it for you? Do you have anything like that you can identify? Maybe you do something like that as well, and you're like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it is kind of keeping me present in my choices. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Also, let me know what number pump you would like to go to. What's your favorite one? Do you have a favorite number? Why is it your favorite number? I need to know more. I feel like I talk about my favorite number more often than anything. It's just a silly thing, but it is important to me. What is your favorite number? We need to know. Okay, number 2 is a little bit more heart-centered, if you will, and very important to me. So ever since I can remember, when I am driving, or even if I'm at a house or sitting outside or on a walk, and I hear or see an ambulance or a fire truck, I do kind of a little protection prayer, if you will. I'm not particularly religious, more spiritual, but I do kind of throw a protection bubble towards whoever may need it, right? And it's just a way to keep me off of being numb from life. Because if you think about it, especially with social media, we see things and we hear things, and there's so much in life that we kind of skirt through because it's just become so normal. It is a normal thing. Actually, I grew up on a street that was the main passageway to a hospital. And so I heard, maybe that's where it stemmed from now that I'm thinking about it. I literally just put that together right now. But so I'd hear it probably a lot more than maybe other people, because it's right there. I mean, we were literally like a block and a half away. And we can become numb to it. We don't realize that there's big moments and things that are happening in people's lives at every second. And right, we don't want to take the stress and the burden of that going into our bodies and take on all of that. We're not meant to take on every scary, hard thing. But what taking a moment to reflect on, hoping that somebody gets the care that they need, that they get the best outcome, that they are safe, that, they are protected. All of that does is put good energy out into the world. It puts, what we put out into the world comes full circle too, right? So we all are doing a little bit of a better thing when we're keeping things top of mind, and we're not just letting that become like, oh yeah, well, that's just another thing that happens in life. It is, yes. And we're so grateful and thankful that there are, life-saving things and people and ways of supporting people when there are hardships. But we don't want to let that just be like the norm, right? We want to give it proper space, if that makes sense. And so for me, it just becomes something that keeps me human. It keeps me not, numbing out the nuances of the world, because it's easy to be like, well, that's just not my problem. That's just, too heavy for me to think about. You don't have to think about all the details of it. Just putting out some goodness into the world and taking a moment to, acknowledge it, if you will. So that's number 2. Number 3, this is maybe goes on to the silly thing, but it's also very heart-centered as well. So last year, we spent quite a bit of time in and out of vets for my dog Harlow, as I kind of touched on here on the podcast on one of the episodes. And one of them has this little rainbow light that when it's lit, it means that somebody is saying goodbye to their animal, their pet, their family member for most people. And I found that profoundly kind and so sweet and thoughtful of their organization, right? Because, when you're going in there, even when your animal's just a little bit sick or ill, you tend to go in and just go about your business, and you might be boisterous and you might be in your own head and worrying about what's going on in your life. But there's somebody that's going through something maybe equally as hard or, whatever it is. And I just found it really just a kind gesture. So the one emergency that we actually went to one of the times is on a route that I drive often. And most of the times of the day, there's some times of the day I can't see it because of the lighting. I can see if the rainbow is on or off as I drive by. And I take a moment every single time. Nighttime's the best because you can see it just blaring or off, which obviously we want it off. We want it off. We don't want the rainbow. This is the one time that I don't want the rainbow to be shining. And I will take a moment, I will look over, and kind of the same thing with an ambulance or a fire truck. If it's on, I take a big deep breath and I send just a beautiful kind of little love and protection and, hug, if you will, to the people and the animals that are going through such a hard moment. If it's off, though, let me tell you, I celebrate. I literally say, I can't believe I'm saying this on a microphone right now, but I will literally be like, yes, like literally I get excited and I will be like, yes, yes, pets of Plainfield, because that's where I live. Yes, pets of Plainfield. We are healthy. We are good. We are thriving. Okay. Because that means that even if there's, some animals that aren't doing so great, or they're like maybe not feeling well, we're doing good. We're getting them the help they need. They're healthy. They're like all this. And so I'm calling in and just like, let's have more of that. When I drive by tomorrow or the next day or whatever, this is what we want, right? And obviously it doesn't stop life from happening and reality from happening. But what it does, again, kind of going back to that idea, is it takes me off autopilot. It puts out that just kind of human connection. And in this situation, animal connection too, creature, living being connection. And it creates a moment, right? A moment and point of connection. Even if I never even know who those people are, I never see the person in the ambulance. I never meet the pet that, had a beautiful, hopefully very long life, but it still creates that human moment. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a spectrum that we live in, right? Of all these moments. And I want to be connected to real life. I want to acknowledge the hard parts of it, celebrate the beauty, the beautiful moments of it. I want all of it to exist, right? And be natural right? I don't want hardships to exist. Let me rephrase that. But I want to be able to acknowledge them and give them a home and a safe space and not let it be so scary. And those are things that do that, right? The last two are things that do that. So I find that to be something that kind of soothes my heart and helps having harder conversations or harder experiences be more, what's the word I want to say? Like just more ability to morph through them differently than hiding from the hard, right? If that makes sense. Okay, so number 4, my husband loves this one. I say that with all the sarcasm in the world. No, he loves it about me, but he's always like, oh my gosh. And he always teases me, tries to steal it, which will make more sense in a second. I have what I call my last bite. And I know I'm not the only person because other people have told me they do this. I savor the last bite of my meal like it's the best thing you've ever had. Even if it's a mediocre meal, I'm going to find the thing that's the best. So for instance, if I'm eating a piece of pizza, I'm a pepperoni girl. I'm going to save the piece. I eat my pizza backwards a lot of times too because the crust is boring. I'm a sauce and condiment kind of gal. The crust is boring. Let me get that out of the way and have the cheesy, saucy goodness to end my bites with. Okay. So if I'm eating pizza, the last bite, especially if it's pepperoni, is going to be a piece that has like cheese and a piece of pepperoni on it. And that's my last bite. I plan it out. I eat around it. You see why my husband just loves it? Because he's like, he can see me like strategizing as I'm eating. If it's a meal that maybe has like multiple things, like maybe I'm having chicken and a vegetable and mashed potatoes or whatever. Sometimes it's a combination of the things on my plate, or sometimes it's a thing that's just like hidden hard in that moment. And I save, the perfect bite for that. And it's very just methodical for me. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's just like a thing that like lets me savor something good in life, right? Food is a beautiful thing. We get to share it with people we love. It nourishes our bodies, right? There's so many good flavors and things out there. And so it's another little nod at being alive. It gives me autonomy over my own experiences as well. As simple as, a plate of food or a bowl of food might sound, it gives me autonomy over my experience within my daily life. I was saying, you know what? I'm going to take kind of stock in what I want it to feel like, taste like. Exactly. Right. I want this to savor and I want it to be so good. And so it also just creates more joy. Like going back to that whole thing that what we're all about around here is it just creates more joy. And honestly, I have smiley faces on my little like kind of touch points here. It's a conversation piece. It started a lot of conversations in my life because, right, it's not obvious. You might not know that I'm doing that if you didn't know I was doing that. My husband does. So like if we're with other people, he might be like, oh, she's gearing up for her last bite. Here we go. Like he's got like a, little theme song. We got to go for it. No. But it can start good conversation and it opens up that kind of that moment for talking with the people that are around you and like, what are your favorite things? What would your last bite be? Again, going off of like, how's the weather kind of conversation, anything like that's what I always say about my jewelry. Jewelry is a conversation piece. These little things in life make more connections for us. And so if my last bite is comical and, can do that, I am great. I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. And honestly, my taste buds are here for it. Do you do that? Let me know if you do that or some form of that when it comes to food. I'm a foodie. I love all the things. And so it's just a little way of being right there with my meal and enjoying every last bite, literally. Okay. So last one here, number 5 is opening the door to our house every single day and or a couple of windows throughout the house, depending on just the time I have and the temperatures and all that stuff. No matter what, though, there is a door and or a window. Love my favorite thing to do is like one side of the house, the other side of the house, so we get kind of cross movement. I don't care if it's 20 degrees or 95 degrees, unless there's some sort of reason not to do it, like some sort of like, environmental hazard. They're opening and I open them. I don't put a timer on or anything, but I just open them. Usually it's about 15, 20 minutes. And yes, it gets a little bit chilly in there when it's really cold out. These Midwest winters, you're bringing in the chill. No, I don't see it change my, heating or cooling bills because it's not that long. It's just this influx of energy, this influx of air, right? And I would say I actually like doing it more in the cold versus in the heat, because the heat it's just usually it just gets a little sticky in there, and there's, if there's a day where it's just dense and there's no breeze or whatever, it's actually not as fulfilling as being cold, which I know sounds maybe crazy for some people because they're like, oh, I hate being cold, but there's beauty to it. And again, what it does is gives me a moment in my day where I'm just being, there. I'm being intentional. It's good for that smack in the face of kind of a change of the temperature. It reminds you you're alive, it's like a pinch, oh yeah, I am here. I'm here. That cold air, the kitchen feels a little chilly for, 15, 20 minutes. And I acknowledge that. And I try to embrace it because I'm not a big winter person, but I don't want to lose, 4 or 5 months of my life, if we're lucky, it's not longer, from it being cold. I want to embrace it in some way, and this is my one way to embrace it. And so it also is good for clearing out, right? We cook and we do this and we do that, and all these scents and smells and all the things can build up. It helps kind of reset the tone for the home. There's so many benefits. It helps our immune system. I truly believe that, right? To get some fresh air in. Think about it. If you have, whether it's hot or cold, we have everything closed up for days and days and days on end besides going in and out the door, what's really coming in that 30, not even 30 seconds, probably 5-second interaction of opening the door. What are we really doing, right? Are we really getting any sort of fresh new air? Probably not that often, right? So it's helping our immune system. I think it clears out, after you've had a cold or you've been sick or something like that. I think let's air this out. We got to get it out of here. So, it's my way of changing the energy. It's my way of embracing all of the things. It's become a ritual of kind of existing with nature, with my home, with making things feel good in my life. And so, yeah, that's my last one. What do you think? How do you think this stacks up? Am I just bonker town over here? Do you resonate with any of them? Do you do anything similar? I would love to hear that. Because again, life is so simple. It does not have to be rocket science to be in, kind of present moments and be, feet on the ground with life. It really doesn't. And so it's really more about the awareness it creates. It's the idea that presence compounds. If you've been in a season, or maybe you just this has been my whole life that I'm just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, it compounds. Presence does. So if we start to do it, and we start to do it more often, and we start to do it in different ways, and we take different paths, and we create new neural pathways in our minds, we start to do it more, it compounds and it becomes more beneficial. It becomes more intrinsic to who we are, and it becomes just a fabric of our life, if you will. And so more often than not, when we compound it, we have times, conversations, interactions, all the things that leave us going, oh, I feel fulfilled because I was actually paying attention to what this person was saying to me, not thinking about the 800 things that I have to do next. I was actually able to sit and watch my child's game or recital or whatever without kind of floating off into space. We've all been there. We all do it. It's just natural. It's human. But maybe we could do it a little bit less, right? Or shorter little blurbs of our brain going off, because we compound presence and being kind of attracting it to us, if you will. So how can you do that for yourself? What little, very subtle ways can you do that? Small moments add up. Small gestures do just that as well. And so something to take away is that life isn't something we have to figure out necessarily, right? It's just things that we're already doing. And then maybe we just want to notice it differently. Maybe we want to create kind of a different existence around something that we already do. What can that be for you? How can you just allow that, right? It's not a game. It doesn't have to be quantified. It doesn't have to, be just so. But what can it be for you that we just bring that notion of kind of curiosity and and excitement and just presence too. So definitely let me know what that looks like, feels like, what's kind of just coming up for you in this conversation. And I would love to not feel so alone in some of the quirky ones. So feel free to share, if you dare, some of the things that maybe come to mind for you or that you already do. And I'm always looking for more little, just subtle ways to kind of embrace life, you know? So do just share and let's have a fun conversation about this. If you are new here or you have not done so yet, please make sure you follow, subscribe, and put your notifications on so that we can stay hanging out. Me and Leroy over here, we love seeing you and we want to, connect with you each week. And it's always good to see you here. So until next time, my friend, I love you for being here and I cannot wait to share the next moments with you. La, 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 la.